during this time of reflection, we all have dug up something, maybe some things we didn't ever want to see again. But this is something that I forgot I had, and I want to share it with you. There was a movement in the 60s for us to, 70s, 80s, 80s, this is the 80s. In the 60s, I was on the civil rights march, but in the 80s, we wanted black people to have an equal shot on the radio and television, you know. I don't know if you know this or not, but Frankie Crocker is from Buffalo, and he was my intern, you know. I mean, for whatever, we didn't call them interns back then. They were love slaves, you know. They went and did things, and they learned from us. It was very popular back then, and I could be generous, you know. When you have a lot, then you can share. I always shared no matter what I had, you know, share what little you have, and it's always going to be the same. But that's beside the point. You know, there was a time when Jesse Jackson married Casey Kasem. I mean, not physically. I mean, Gene married Casey Kasem, but Jesse Jackson was the minister. That's more like it. Jesse ran for president too, and Casey was the guy who spearheaded that, because we always thought that we were in radio and television. We felt that the black people were not getting a good shot, except for All in the Family and the Jeffersons and a couple of shows that were on TV. But for the most part, it was a second-class citizenship. So we were fighting for it, and here's the people who were on it. This is an organization that started after I had Imus on my show, and he made a comment on the air with me. He was doing a put-down of Jesse Jackson, and Casey's wife was on the air with me, Casey Kasem's wife, and she flipped out and told Casey, and he got mad. So we started this organization, which was called the DJs of America, Disc Jockeys of America, DJOA. And on this certificate, which I just dug up again, was Rick Dees was on the board, Ron Chapman from KBIL in Dallas, Ed Brantley, WIVK, Robert Murphy, WKQX. I don't even know where that is. That's one of the few callers, one of the few places I didn't work. Gary McKee of Quixie in Atlanta, Carol Miller, WNEW, and Casey himself, and Joey Reynolds, WNBC at the time. So what we had here, the purpose of this was to prevent from being misled. We were not members of the DGAA board, and there may be others listed as directors who may be in our same position. Our names were used without our knowledge or permission. So that's what it is. You may have received a letter asking you to join them, and they used our name on the board of directors. Well, see, we're the guys that wanted the black people to have the same shot. I used to make fun of WOR. I said stands for WOR is white only radio. They weren't too happy about that. But you know, we have pushed ahead to put equality. Now, of course, you know, if it's black, it takes priority over anybody, because people want to make up for lost time. They want to make up for slavery. You're not going to make up for anything. I mean, you got to. Mother Teresa said it very well. Begin where you are. Just be fair. Be kind and be respectful. Right now, you start where you are. You don't have to wait. You don't have to pay for the past. There's no sense in taking statues down. That's not going to do it. Nothing's going to do it except to be who you are right now and be fair and equal and kind, and also generous with your time and efforts and money, you know. But it's a philosophy, and not everybody agrees with me. You don't have to. We have 350 million belly buttons in this country, as you see now. We don't need to be separated anymore. Now we need to be brought together. And this is one of those organizations where we made an attempt to bring an issue to light underground. We did this behind the curtain, you know, so the public didn't have to get in on this. Why would they? We wanted to do this for radio, television, the record business, and the intellectual propriety, they call it, you know, property, intellectual property, that's what it was. Not that anybody ever owns it except, you know, the power that runs this universe. Now, I'll tell you something else. It was very interesting to be a part of the growth of radio and television all during the time when radio and records were married. Now, of course, they've had a divorce, and you have to go online and pay for your music. It was free back then because we had commercials. I just wanted to mention that we're still able to get free radio on the air in the car. It does sound better than Bluetooth, honestly. FM does sound better than Bluetooth, but I don't think the FM people know how to promote it. And I think one of the things missing is personalities. You could put people on the air who are very interesting and intriguing and who can support themselves. I mean, for one thing, I don't really need to have an audience like Good Morning America in the morning. You know that. I've worked without an audience for a long time. You need listeners and viewers. I've worked without them for a long time too. But I think what you need to really do is to be engaging and interesting on the air yourself, and then you can build on that. There are so many geniuses, and I'm not one of them, but I think people like Steve Allen and Johnny Carson, Jack Parr, they were all individual. Each of them were late night television hosts. On the radio, we had a lot of people who were great. I think I mentioned to you before, George Carlin was a disc jockey. A lot of people forget that. That's how he started. They did not begin in stand-up comedy. They began in radio, where you learn how to communicate with people and not taking phone calls. I mean, you don't have to sit there and argue about the Yankees winning the pennant. You know, I mean, you could really you could do a lot of things on the air. Or like right now, what would we be talking about is what we're doing right now. You know, I dug up something and I want to present it to you. But people aren't going to watch me the way they watch movie stars and celebrities like, let's say Larry David or one of those guys that has a high profile, because we are a celebrity culture. I don't know why, but we are. We've been that way all along. I was lived with Bob Marcucci for a while. Who was the idol maker. He gave us Frank Avalon and Fabian, and during the day, Bobby Rydell and Annette Funicello, and all these people came out of Philadelphia. But you know, Dick Clark made a lot of stars. He did that too. We were not looking in those days to build idols. But when I lived with Bob, he managed Rona Barrett, who had Teen Magazine, and a lot of people don't know that she began Entertainment Tonight. That was her show. She's the one who had the idea to do that. Another show she had that never made it was a show about dead artists, dead people who were famous stars and their backgrounds and their lives. We didn't have A&E biography yet. So, you know, people are pretty much interested in our personalities and our behavior, but this idol worship of people is it's killing us. It's just choking us. So you might want to curb your enthusiasm. You might want to have some enthusiasm at this point because you can't get out of the house. But I'm Italian. You can't even bite your own hand when you're mad. Don't touch your face. It's a Reynolds Rap. Follow me.